Hi, this is Tamaris and I'm going to be guiding you through the presentation about the RA job role. If you missed something, don't worry, you can rewind or put me on pause. Let's get started. After this presentation, you will be able to identify the role of the resident assistant, understand what accommodation services and residence life expects from you, identify major tasks of the RA job, and understand the major skill sets that the RA position utilizes. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is where all of your questions will be answered regarding coming up weekend, office duties, on-call duties, time management, customer service, and feedback on performance. If you're a new RA, we know that you read the RA job description prior to applying for the position. But regardless, we encourage new RAs to ask the returning staff about their experiences and to hear more about what the RA position means to them. Also, we have uploaded some very interesting videos of current and previous RAs who answered some of the frequently asked questions that we hear from new staff, so make sure you watch them. So you'll be aware that the main purpose of the RA job is to ensure that new first-year students to our accommodation are welcomed and integrated quickly into their new environment, to ensure that our residents have an enjoyable and trouble-free stay in our accommodation. Being trouble-free does not necessarily mean that they don't run into problems, but rather that they're assisted in resolving those issues in a timely and helpful manner. And finally, to ensure, in conjunction with your line manager, that the environment in the house is conducive to healthy and happy living and study for all residents and neighbors. In order to do this, you must get to know your residents. So each RA will have approximately 40 residents that you're specifically assigned to check in with. And we have specific tasks that will help you to get to know them. An example of that is like the chit-chats that we do or the flat visits, but we'll talk more about that later. Let's fast forward past training to coming up weekend, the weekend that your residents will be moving in. In preparation for that, you'll be working on site prep on Thursday and Friday right after the end of RA training. Your line manager will have a list of tasks for you to complete in order to prepare your site for move-in and in order to complete your on-site training. So pay attention to detail. Residents will move in on Saturday and Sunday after that. These days will be super long for you, so get prepared. Most RAs say the adrenaline and excitement of meeting the new residents helps them to get them through. But do make sure to listen to your line manager and take breaks. Eat meals when instructed and make sure that you take care of yourself. As you will know from the interview and the job description, it is compulsory to be available both days, all day. So put those time management and planning skills to good use and prepare to be very busy. The main things you will be doing during coming up weekend include welcoming residents to the building, giving out keys, showing residents to their rooms, handing out matriculation cards and bedding packs if these are not already in the residence room, and generally answering a number of queries from new residents and their families. After residents move in, your main priority this week is to get them mixing and meeting new people. And you will do this by promoting Freshers Week events as well as hosting your own events at your site. Sometimes new RAs are a bit nervous about questions that they might be asked during coming up weekend. So what are some of these questions that you might be asked during coming up weekend? Well, we can't tell you everything that new students and their families might ask about, but there are some usual topic areas. The first is bedding packs. So your residents had the option of pre-ordering those prior to arrival. If they did, then the domestic staff will just work hard to ensure that these are waiting for the residents in their rooms when they arrive. But if someone did not pre-purchase it, there is generally the option to purchase it on arrival. Speak to your line manager about how many your site has and how to do this on the day. During on-site training, your line manager will also give you instructions on how to try to resolve any issues that may arise with bedding packs, like individuals saying they purchased it but it's not in the room, residents who are roommates who say the other roommate took their bedding pack, how to find more bedding packs to sell on the day if you run out, things like that. The next big question is always about parking. The reason for that is parking is limited in Edinburgh overall. This year especially, with the amount of students moving in, parking is extremely limited. We do not recommend that students bring cars to keep with them at university. However, if living in Pollock halls and there are parking spaces available, then residents must apply for a permit through the Pollock Reception Centre. This is not a guarantee. For flats, residents must refer to the university's parking regulation for the university grounds, as well as the City of Edinburgh's council regulation for parking permits in the city. The third big question is always about KeyCom, our telephone and internet providers. Information instructions will be provided for each resident in their welcome pack. However, it may require that you go with a resident who's having problems to help troubleshoot. If you cannot assist, then direct the residents to call or visit the KeyCom help desk that will be available during coming up weekend in reception. They have specific hours during coming up weekend and Freshers Week because they do expect more questions during this period of time. Your residents might also ask you about local information, recommendation on restaurants, how to get to the local grocery store, even what is the local store called if students are international. They might ask how to use the buses or what buses get them to different areas, and it's always a good idea to have a map printed to show people. Remember that a map of our traditional accommodation in reference to local grocery stores that was created by a previous RA is in the resources section of this induction. Finally, residents will also have questions about how to matriculate, what is good to attend during Freshers Week, when International Student Orientation is, and if they really need to go to their college orientation sessions. Use your experience as a student, the online resources, and the information that your line manager has to answer all of these questions. And don't be afraid to ask your line manager for information if you don't have it. Like any other job, the RA post comes with a set of general expectations that have been set according to the standard of services that we have promised to provide our students. First, frequent communication with your line manager is crucial, and so we strongly suggest that you take every opportunity to clarify with your line manager what their preferred methods of communication and expectations are. Second, event planning is the main focus of your RA post, and we expect you to approach it as such. During training at the end of August, we will be covering the event expectations in more detail. Now, you will be expected to follow those instructions and ensure that all events are reported within 24 hours using the event form found under the induction event resources. Third, in order to provide your residents with the best possible event opportunities and support, it is important that you get to know them and that they get to know you. Be available to your residents and present at your site. Maintaining presence will allow you to cultivate profound relationships with your residents, discover their individual interests, increase event participation, and address any concerns in the most effective and helpful way possible. Fourth, along with the same spirit of availability, as an RA, you are expected to be on call and ready to respond to any emergencies or student requests that occur after hours when the domestic staff is not around. By attending your assigned office hours and attending the RA mobile, you should make sure that there is continued coverage at your site. Remember to never leave the RA mobile unattended during on-call hours and to follow all procedures carefully when handling your keys. Our promise to you is that you will always be treated as young professionals, with the privileges and responsibilities that entails. In return, we expect you to be on time for training and meetings and come prepared with a pen, your calendar, and a notepad. Please keep in mind that poor planning for academic pursuits or other work commitments or society meetings are not acceptable excuses for requesting leave or absence from a meeting. In your confrontation with your residents, you are required to adhere to policy and safety violations, and to be respectful and professional when dealing with students, parents, other departments of the university, or emergency professionals. In other words, remember that you are the face of the University of Edinburgh. No pressure. Finally, you are role models among peers, and all eyes will be on you. High-risk behavior should be avoided at all times. Living life in a fishbowl means that you can never know when you're being observed and what decisions of others you might influence with your behavior. All this gives a very different meaning to the phrase, "you're never alone." But by upholding all university policies and exhibiting a positive attitude, you will overcome all challenges and show pride in your job, your site, and your university. Remember to always treat others with respect and dignity. Speaking of your role as a role model, you're expected to admit your mistakes. We're all going to make some, so please refrain from gossiping about your residents or peers and make professional use of the social media. As students, we expect you to maintain your high academic standards throughout your career as an RA. Finding a balance between your academics, your RA role, and social life is going to get you through the year and allow you to enjoy all aspects of your life, so manage your time wisely. Your residents are students too. Ask them about their life, their academics, and make them aware of the resources and support services offered by the university. Finally, in addition, think about bringing the academic support to them by involving lecturers and university staff in your academic events. So let's talk about a couple of these in more specifics. Your office duties. During the year, one of your most regular tasks will be to host office hours at your house or site office. This is a time where you, as the RA, are available and visible to all of your students in your accommodation. The specific amount of time you will spend in office hours each week is dependent upon the size of your RA staff at your site, but generally it's about 1 hour per week. During your on-site training, your line manager will create a rota for office hours and includes you and the other RAs in your area. Why is this important? This time is extremely important because it is a publicized time for residents to come speak to a member of the ResLife team at their site. This is when many of them will come to you for a private or personal question. Your line manager may also leave tasks for you to complete during that hour, so make sure to look for specific instructions. Most importantly, though, be on time. If there is an unforeseeable conflict with your office hours, ensure that you update your line manager, and they will provide you with instructions on how to cover. Usually, this means that you need to ask one of your fellow RAs in your team to cover or switch with you, so that the office hour is still held and residents are not inconvenienced. Please note, this should not be a regular occurrence and only used for unforeseeable conflicts. Proper time management and planning are the key to the RA position, and that means planning appropriately so you will be in attendance on time for your office hour. Now let's talk about on-call. This is the part of the job that can cause RAs to become nervous or anxious. First, take a deep breath. You're never alone, even when you are the RA on call. When acting as the RA on duty, you must remain contactable at all times. For this, an RA mobile is provided to your site. This mobile is for professional use only. So first, always ensure that it's charged. Secondly, the RA on call remains on site. On weekdays, you're on call from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next morning. This means Monday to Thursday. During these evenings, you must remain on site. On weekends, Friday night through Monday morning, you're on call 24/7. This means that even during the day, you can be called to assist residents. On the weekend, we do allow that you might need to run some quick errands, such as going to the store to buy food, working at the library, etc. With this in mind, we do allow that on Saturday and Sundays during the day you can be off-site, but you must remain within a 30-minute radius of your site. This means that if you're called, you must answer the RA phone and you must be able to be back at your site within 30 minutes to help resolve any issues. Just like during the week, you must be back on site by 6 p.m. And from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m., you cannot leave the site. Even more importantly, you cannot drink or be in any way intoxicated while you are on call. Your line manager and your RA team will create an RA on duty rota for your site, and any changes to this rota must be approved by your line manager prior to the date of the change. Who you're on call for depends on what site you're actually hired to. Prior to coming up weekend, your line manager will meet with the RAs of your site to determine the RA on call rota. When you're on call, you're the first contact in your site, and you need to have the RA mobile with you at all times. For many, the RA mobile rota will encompass your RA team's area flats. This is generally based around sites that are supervised by one line manager. Other sites will have a phone that only relates to their site. So you're the RA on call. Now what? Well, the first thing is the fact that you must answer the phone when it rings. Always remember to answer the phone in a professional manner. This means saying, "Hello, site name RA, on call, this is your name." For example, I would say, "Hello, Richmond Place RA on call, this is Tamares." Ensure that you can write down any relevant information. This generally includes the names of students that you need to assist, the involved flat or room, and possibly the name of the security staff member who you are assisting. Next, you will try to assist as best as you can. Many times you will simply be called and asked to complete a specific task. Once the assistant has been given, the issue resolved, or at least resolved insofar as it can wait until the line manager can follow up, you need to update your line manager and the relevant staff. This means documenting what happened, why you were called, what did you do, and what was the status of the situation when you left, as well as any steps that are in the process of happening. When you arrive for training in August, we will specifically go over the system that we use to input these incidents. However, if it is a theft, remember that police must be called, and they will also write their own official report. If security is in attendance with you, they will write an official report too. But you must still update your line manager by submitting your own report. But you can reference the fact that security submitted an incident report or that the police was present. As the RAs, you will be called to assist most often during what we consider out of hours. This means it is not during the traditional business day, which is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Since residents live with us, we know that most of their concerns will happen out with regular working hours. That's why the RA post is live-in. When students come home from class or over the weekend is traditionally when we hear about their concerns. This includes disputes over cleanliness, homesick, etc. If you can resolve something based on your training and experience, do. If you cannot, then you must at least get the ball rolling in order to help that resident. This may be as easy as saying, "I can't specifically fix that now, it is 3 a.m. However, we will leave a message right now for the line manager and they will follow up with you sometime tomorrow," or give a reasonable time. If it's urgent, don't leave the student hanging. Contact further help. If you are new, this might mean asking one of your fellow RAs for their assistance. In sites with wardens, it might be calling your warden for help. Or it might be so urgent you need to call security. Remember that security can reach all of the line managers if the situation warrants, and they can also contact the residence life coordinator on call for your area. It might be the case that the situation is so urgent that you need emergency personnel. In this case, call 999 and then update our security so they can direct the police, fire, or ambulance when they arrive on site. We will discuss specific situations and how you will respond during the difficult situation session at training. But if I can tell you just one thing, there's no reason to panic. Like I mentioned previously, after dealing with any situation involving a student that your line manager should be aware of, you are required to submit an incident report found under the e-induction resources. In order for your line manager to be able to follow up with a student the next day, you need to include all the names of the people involved and fill out all the fields in the form. Remember that this is a professional update to your line manager. There's no reason to get personal. Keep to the facts and make sure you know the time and location of the incident. And now please pause to take a good look at an example of a poorly written incident report and that of a well-written one. The differences are quite obvious. Now let's take a step back and talk about why is it important to document work. Your line manager needs to be able to document what work you have done. The reason for this is that with over 150 RAs, it is impossible to keep track of everyone's activity informally. Creating a fair workplace in which RAs can be recognized for their work, receive their financial benefits, receive training tailored to possible mistakes and areas of improvement, be able to provide cover for RAs who might be on sick leave, and finally, be in the position to provide references for future employment. All of these are very important to our department and our organization. During training at the end of August, we will discuss the specifics of how you will update your line manager on the work that you're doing. Until then, briefly, documenting usually includes a completion of set tasks, such as your flat visits, your chit-chats, interim review preparation sheets, etc., etc., the specific work you have done for planning and implementing events, updates on your residents, information from your office hours, and reminders of situations you have dealt with when you were on call. If you don't document and keep your line manager updated on what you have been working on, it is a job performance issue. Continued non-submission will be documented in your annual review and in conjunction with other job performance concerns can lead to your being asked to leave the RA post. Being an RA is a lifestyle, but it is also a job. So treat it with the respect that you would any other job. As a main way to keep in touch with your line manager and keep track of your performance throughout the year, we will be using the RA monthly report. At the end of every month, you need to fill out the corresponding monthly report found under the induction resources. The report will be saved on induction, where your line manager will be able to access it and use it as a starting point during your one-to-one meetings. What the monthly report includes is a list of tasks relevant to the month or general tasks of the post that you need to fulfill on a monthly basis. In addition, there are short answer questions that will allow you to elaborate on your tasks, accomplishments, future plans, and difficult situations that you had to face this month. Please keep in mind that completing the monthly report on time is part of your RA responsibilities. Here is an example of what the first monthly report for September looks like. Pause if you would like to take a look at the individual questions. In addition to being on call, the RA position has a number of other duties. These include attending all set meetings. You will have meetings with your specific line managers, as well as 3 full Residence Live team meetings throughout the year, where you will see all of the other RAs as well. You and your fellow RAs are responsible for planning events hosted at your site. We'll discuss the specifics of this in a later training session. You must communicate regularly with your residents. To help with this, there are some set tasks where you will need to go see all of your residents. These include your flat or resident visits in September, January, and May, in order to discuss information specifically related to that time of the year, such as welcome, holiday closure, electricity consumption, and move-out day. You will also complete what we call chit-chats with each of your residents individually. We'll talk more specifically about that when we see you in person in September. As an RA, you will also be asked by your residents what to do if something breaks. Something in their flat, their room, their bathroom, their pantry, or their kitchen. Your line manager will be able to explain how to record this for the site domestic staff to resolve. If a repair is urgent, for example, the shower has flooded and is now leaking through the floor into the flat below, that's quite urgent. RAs in both the flats and Pollock can call the Pollock help desk, which is answered by security 24/7. They can assist or call out a tradesman if they deem necessary. RAs in the private provider sites will receive specific instructions on how to deal with damages. Now, something really important. Although this may seem self-evident, you're hired for a set contract. You're expected to be working as an RA until the end of that contract. There are always tasks right up until move-out day that RAs need to assist with. So please ensure that you do not book travel plans or leave before your contract expires. You can see the dates that contracts end written here on the slide. Now let's discuss time management. You will continue to hear us mention this skill all year long. Being a successful RA means balancing your time wisely and planning appropriately. Residence Life will always try to give you the dates of the mandatory team meetings which are compulsory to attend when you arrive for training. These dates should immediately go into your diaries or your planners so that you do not forget them. Your line managers will also tell you what your weekly or your monthly site RA team meetings will be. Ensure that you are always in attendance for these meetings and that you are on time. We've already discussed the importance of being at your weekly office hour, on time. Try to find tools that help you manage your time and use them. This can be a planner, your smartphone, your email system with reminders, whatever works for you as long as it works. Poor planning is not an excuse to be late or to miss your deadlines. Now, whether you have thought of this or not, you are in a position to offer customer service. Accommodation Services believes that good customer service is extremely important. Who are our customers? If you said the students, that's absolutely correct. But in Residence Life, our customers can also be families of students, the university staff members that we collaborate with from other departments, USA, Career Services, Counseling, Advice Place, etc., etc. And why is customer service so important? Well, first, it proves to the people that we're interacting with that we care about them and want to help provide the best experience possible. Second, it makes a difference to those with whom you're interacting. Third, it allows our students to reach their full potential and gain from their experience in university. Finally, it allows you to build relationships with your residents and get them to think positively about coming to you with concerns or even participating in your events. During your time as an RA, the only way you can improve is through feedback, and that goes for a lot more than just the RA job. Residence Life takes feedback very seriously. We want to provide it to you in a constructive manner while also asking you to give your feedback to us, what else we can do to assist or make your position better. The RA is a very responsible role and it should be treated as a job. Because as fun as the RA post is, it is a tough job. This means that there will be formal and informal feedback given to you on your performance in the role. Your line manager will give you feedback informally throughout the year. If there are any concerns about your performance, your line manager will raise these with you privately and provide some suggestions on how you can improve. You will then be given the opportunity to progress. You will also have formal feedback meetings with your line manager. We call these annual reviews and interim reviews. When those dates are coming, we will provide you more specific information on how to prepare. For the time being, what you need to know is that the annual review will need to be completed by the time you leave in December for the winter break, and your interim review will be completed prior to rehire decisions in the spring. If there are any concerns about your performance, you will be asked to have more regular meetings to discuss your progress. This may also include a Res Life coordinator working with your area. In addition, Residence Life will ask you for your feedback on training at the end of the week, so try to be constructive. This upcoming year, we've made a lot of changes due to the feedback from people who were in your spot in previous years. Residence Life will also ask for your feedback in your site team when all of AS does their staff survey. Your opinion matters, so take those opportunities seriously. Thanks for taking the time to complete this very important introduction to the resident assistant post. As you can see, there is a lot for you to learn and do. In summary, you should now have a full overview of what Residence Life expects from you in your position as an RA. We will talk about the specific of events, responding to emergencies while on call, and what other resources you can call on for help during later sessions, both in this induction and in person when you arrive at the end of August. Remember that we want you to be successful, and there are mechanisms in place to ensure that you will fulfill your duties and improve.